It is time for our May reading wrap-up. I had a very small reading pile once again this month, but I'm honestly not that worried about it. It was a total of 5 books for a total of, let's double check here because I can't remember things, 1,933 pages. As you might know if you've been here for a little bit, I am going for a page number goal instead of a book number goal this year. So that means that I'm trying to go around 3,000 pages a month instead of just focusing on the book number. So for the second month in the row, I fall short, but alas, whatever. Without further ado, let's get into the wrap-up itself. If you've never been here before, I do my wrap-ups like this. I do the best of the best first. Books I call buy it books, books that I totally recommend and think that you should absolutely read. Then I move on to the borrow it books, books that I thought were just okay, they were all right, but they weren't amazing. They were just middle of the road reads. I call those borrow it books. And then we move on to skip it books, books that I thought were not at all worth your time or your money and you should just go ahead and skip them. So you can stay for as long or as little as your heart tells you to, watch the whole thing, just watch the best of the best, just watch the worst of the worst. It's up to you. By the way, Bo's on the floor next to me, so if you hear any weird noises, it's 99% chance that it's him. So, fair warning. I only have one book on my buy it list, and that is Stealth War. I heard about this through a podcast and decided to try it out for myself, and I'm so glad that I did. This is a book really set around current times, and it's really about China and America and how we're sort of battling these ideologies and how war is very different than it was, say, 50, 20, 30 years ago. It is now something that takes place vastly digitally, and this man who was, he did serve in the American military, and he's talking about it from his perspective on what he thinks we should do moving forward, and also outlines some of the ways in which this battle for ideologies has already taken place and how it continues to take place now. So it's a very enlightening book. I would really recommend that you read it no matter what country you live in because it's interesting, and I think the biggest takeaway for me was that war is just a different animal entirely, and we need to start thinking about it in a different way. Really fascinating, really insightful, quick, punchy writing. It's efficient writing. I appreciated that stylistically about it. Also, he did a great job of outlining his topics, providing evidence, providing insight, and yeah, I just thought it was really interesting. I'm glad that I heard about it through that podcast. I don't know where else I would have heard about it, so maybe a similar thing will happen for you on this video, but yes, really fantastic, enlightening book. Since I only have one on my buy it list, let's move over to the borrow it list. I kind of feel equally about all three of these, so let's just start with Stephen King. Salem's Lot was the Stephen King I read this month. It is sort of his take on a vampire story. It's heavily Dracula inspired, a fact he does not hide. And while a lot of people really, really love Salem's Lot and they say it's one of their favorite Kings, I somehow did not feel that way. And I'm quite surprised by that because I do love the vampire thing and I do love just that whole aspect, that whole atmosphere. But for me, somehow it didn't really feel like King. I felt the style itself was a little bit out of King's character, so maybe I had the wrong expectations going in, but regardless, I just thought it was okay. Sometimes I thought it felt a little forced, and sometimes I felt like I was missing something. King usually has so much buildup and so much detail that maybe I was getting too accustomed to that. And so when it came time to read Salem's Lot, I was expecting that detail, and then I sometimes felt as I was reading it like I was trying to catch up somehow, and I kept thinking, how did I miss this? Or how did I miss that? It just felt really quick for King, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but maybe he's just more talented at writing the more fully fledged, longer novels. I don't know. But for me, it wasn't as amazing as I thought it would be. So I definitely get the appeal in it for other readers. Like I can see how for some people it would be amazing, but just for me personally, it just felt a little forced sometimes. And I think it was just something fun that Stephen King wrote, and why shouldn't he? You know, why shouldn't he? Next on my borrow it list is Hill Women. This is a nonfiction memoir that I actually did a full book review video on. It's really about one woman's experience growing up in Appalachia, a place I grew up, so it's very close to home for me, and I read it after reading Hillbilly Elegy last year, wanting a different perspective after some people said they thought Hillbilly Elegy did a lot of damage. So I wanted to go at this from someone else's perspective and see how it turned out. I thought the book was fine. I really enjoyed the beginning. I think she did a great job illustrating some some of the different points of what it means to grow up in that region, what it means to be a person from there, and some aspects of the culture I thought she handled really well. I thought structurally as a whole, the book was not that well done. She had no real conclusion, and even though she admitted to that, the entire premise of the book is set up as if she's going to offer some sort of way forward or some sort of solution, which she fails to do. So I just didn't love it. I thought it was just fine. I actually had a physical copy, but you're seeing a digital pop-up here because I loaned it to my neighbor and she loaned me Educated, so it's fun to have a little book swap situation going on. Last on my borrow it list is He Started It. This is the new novel by the best-selling author of My Lovely Wife, which I also read and enjoyed last year and also felt a similar way about. It's fun, it's fast, but it's just sort of a quick, enjoyable read. I didn't expect too much from it, and I didn't get that much from it. But I did read it in 24 hours. It was fun, fast-paced, and for a certain appetite that you have, for a certain type of book, this definitely fits the bill. It was a nice break between heavier reads. So I'll give it credit for that. I do think it got a little cheesy, a little overdone, but you're not too worried about it. So is it groundbreaking? No. But was it fun? Yes. And sometimes that's all you need. Essentially, it is about siblings who are due an inheritance from their grandfather, but in order to get that inheritance, they have to complete a road trip, the same road trip that they took together so many years ago. And on this road trip, many things are unveiled, such as what happened to them in the past and what's happening to them in the present, how everything's tied together, and sort of just family drama, if you will, if your family was full of crazy narcissists. So, yeah. Lastly, let's move on to my only skip it book. This is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This is actually a book that was gifted to me by another Bookstagram friend. She mailed it to me when she was doing a shelf clean out, which was super, super nice of her. It's the lady of the library, so thanks Amy for sending me this. She also had similar feelings about this, but she knew that I'd want to give it a shot. You know, different readers have different tastes, so I'm very glad that she sent it to me, and I'm very glad that I got to find out for myself. This is a traditional isolation murder mystery where a body turns up and then we're basically trying to figure out who the heck did it. It's set in the Scottish Highlands at an elite resort where a group of friends has come together to relive old times, celebrate the new year, and unfortunately old friends always harbor old secrets, and there's sort of some strange dynamics going on. Foley has tried to put forward a really character-driven murder mystery, but unfortunately the pieces just fell flat, and the more I read, the more I disliked it. I really do not feel like this is worthy of your time or your attention. However, I did hear that her other books are far superior to this one. I do have one of her newer releases, her newest release, actually, on audiobook from Libro FM, so I will be trying that eventually when I get to it. But yeah, for me, this book did not work. It kind of was one of those ones where it had all the pieces of the puzzle, but they just didn't fit together right. If you had a recipe for mysteries, this had all of the ingredients. It's just that they did not taste good the way they were mixed together. That's it for my May reading wrap up. Definitely a short one. We'll see how I do in June. Thanks so much for watching. Drop a comment below whatever book you loved or hated last month. Either way, I want to hear about it. Hit the thumbs up button before you go. And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, but you like all things bookish, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button because I'm your girl. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.